She alone was present at the unit at the hospital at the time that all the babies deteriorated and died. She was a common factor. She appeared to be fixated with the events in the intensive care nursery. She created, it was alleged, false entries on documents. She retained and took home a large number of handover sheets as trophies. 200 were hidden under her bed. She searched for the names of some of the babies on Facebook. Various handwritten notes were found at her home. One of the notes concluded with the words, "I am evil, I did this." This was the evidence before the jury, and this was the evidence which presumably persuaded the jury to convict on some cases but not on others.
And an expert witness in the Lucy Letby case has said he is troubled he was not called to give evidence. Neonatalist Dr. Michael Hall says he doesn't believe the jury heard the whole truth, as he puts it, and that his evidence may well have changed the outcome. Lucy Letby was convicted of the murder of 7 babies and attempting to murder 7 more while on duty at the Countess of Chester Hospital. Well, joining us now is the lawyer and legal commentator Joshua Rozenberg. What do you make of Michael Hall's comments, Joshua?
Well, of course, he wasn't an expert witness at all. That's his concern. He was asked by the defence team to give them medical advice, and he was not called to give evidence. It's obviously up to the defence lawyers to decide which witnesses to call. They didn't call any expert witnesses. The defence doesn't have to call witnesses. It's up to the prosecution to prove their case. And it was the defence that decided, and we don't know their reasons, but we can speculate, it was the defence that decided not to call him to give evidence.
And there have been a number of articles recently. There's been a lot of speculation about this. You, of course, have been following this closely. They quote critics who think the evidence against Lucy Letby was flawed or not nearly strong enough. What is your assessment, in your professional opinion, of this criticism?
Well, you have to balance it against what the evidence was. The Court of Appeal said that you could infer the Letby's responsibility for the deaths and sudden collapses from a raft of circumstantial evidence. She alone was present at the unit at the hospital at the time that all the babies deteriorated and died. She was a common factor. She appeared to be fixated with the events in the intensive care nursery. She created, it was alleged, false entries on documents. She retained and took home a large number of handover sheets as trophies. 200 were hidden under her bed. She searched for the names of some of the babies on Facebook. Various handwritten notes were found at her home. One of the notes concluded with the words, "I am evil, I did this." This was the evidence before the jury, and this was the evidence which presumably persuaded the jury to convict on some cases but not on others.
So what is Dr. Michael Hall actually saying that he could have told them that would have changed things, do you think?
Well, we don't know, and it's fair to say that a number of very distinguished statisticians have questioned the statistical evidence that was used at the trial. Speculating about what might have happened and why he might not have been called to give evidence, it is, of course, the case that if you, the defence, call a witness, that witness is available for cross-examination by the prosecution. So maybe defence lawyers thought that although he might have helped the defence case in some ways, and he says he would, and I'm sure he would, he might have helped the prosecution case in other ways. That may explain why they didn't call him to give evidence. We won't know, but another significant fact is, of course, that Letby was tried a second time. And on that occasion, she could, if she'd wanted to, have instructed completely different lawyers. She chose not to, so she presumably was happy with the way that her lawyers handled the original trial, and that must include their decision not to call any expert witnesses to give evidence.
If that is, of course, I'm sure that's the case, but in terms of the fact that this new speculation anyway, these comments by Dr. Michael Hall and others have come out, are there any legal avenues left at this stage for Lucy Letby or her team to pursue if they want a retrial or for her to be acquitted or something like that?
The only option as far as the main trial, the first trial, the one on which she was convicted of so many offences, the only option in that case is for her lawyers to produce new evidence and persuade the Criminal Cases Review Commission to refer that case to the Court of Appeal. She could, I suppose, seek permission to appeal against her retrial, her conviction after her retrial. That hasn't been to the Court of Appeal, but it might well be that that would be unsuccessful on the basis that the evidence was considered by the Court of Appeal very thoroughly in the judgment it gave earlier this year.
Joshua, thank you very much indeed. That's the legal commentator and lawyer himself, honorary KC, in fact, Joshua Rozenberg. Thank you for joining us on Times Breakfast.
Letby dislodged the tube a further 2 times over the following few hours in an attempt to cover her tracks and suggests that the first dislodgement was accidental. These were the actions of a cold-blooded, calculated killer.
Letby was taken back to prison after today.